And so we're waiting in line for an hour, and as we're going around Disney World, and I see like all these families and these kids, and some kids are crying and throwing a fit and just acting crazy. And then like I saw some kids beating up their dad, or it looked like it was his dad. He was like, and then he's talking to him, and he's like, "It's right there. Can't you see that? If you can't see that, you need to go get some new glasses." And I'm like, "Boy, lucky I ain't your dad." And so, but I'm like, why do people do this to themselves? Why would you spend all this time and all this money as a parent to be treated this way? It's just wrong. But so the longest we stood in line was an hour. At Universal, there was a ride that was constantly. We were there for 5 days, constantly 2 to 3 hour wait. But so we're waiting in line, and as we were waiting in line, you could tell the people that were at rest and the ones who weren't. We're all doing the same thing. We're all waiting in line. We're all going to be there for an hour, right? But some people that were at rest, right, enjoyed that time with their family. Some of them were playing games. They were doing like this, I don't know what it's called, but they got words, you put it on your phone, and then they act it out, and you're supposed to guess what the word is, right? And so they're playing games, they're doing all these different things, and they just enjoyed the time while they're waiting, enjoying the scenery. They do all this stuff on purpose. They know you're going to be waiting there forever. So they do put things on there to distract you, to make the time go by quicker. And then the ones that weren't at rest, man, it was just miserable. Like you could see them struggling, and then some of them would quit and give up and leave. And like, how are you waiting here 30 minutes and then just be like, well, I'm done, I'm over it, and just leave? But I believe that kind of helps us understand this a little bit. How it's not just about the ride. It's not just about getting to the finish line. And a lot of us think that's what it's all about. Once I get there, once I get to the front of the line, oh man, my life's going to be perfect. What about that whole time waiting to get there? Enjoy it. Enjoy the ride and be in rest. Enjoy that time. And man, even though, that's what we got to do, and we got to wait in line, for a little while, and the baby, he's 5, he's the most impatient one of all of them because he's the youngest. And he's like, this is taking forever. And I'm like, I told you it would be an hour. It's been 5 minutes. This is taking like every 2 minutes. This is taking forever. So I learned a little bit about every single one of them. I already knew this, right? But it was beautiful to see it in action for us trying to stay at rest. And like with the baby, he loves school. He loves numbers. He loves words. And so whenever he's like, this is taking forever, because on the drive, while we're driving there, we were in that car 18 hours. So we got a lot of that. So we were driving, and he would just start asking math questions. He would be like, Nena, what's 1 plus 1? She'd be like, 2. What's 2 plus 2? What's 4 plus 4? What's 8 plus? And he just kept going for like 30 minutes, nonstop. And so when we were in line, I was like, he's like, it's taking forever. I'm like, baby, what's 1 plus 1? Like 2. Like, okay, what's 2 plus 2? Like 4. And it was funny because once we got to I think the highest number he was able to do, and I helped him figure it out, just gave him some tips, was like 64. So it was like 32 plus 32. And then he got it wrong. He's like adding in his head, and he's doing numbers, and he's like 31. And I'm like, we started with 32. It's 32 plus 32. I'm like, okay, separate the tens. And then he's like, okay. And he's like, 64. And I was like, yeah, that was awesome. And even the people around us, like this one lady's like, yeah, good job. And she was like talking to him. But that, we're still waiting in line. But we're enjoying the time that we're there. So I learned that about him. With Natalia, oh man, she is a storyteller. Her imagination just runs wild. So I was trying to keep them calm, and so they had these lanyards, and to keep them calm, I gave Natalia Brenda's ID badge, and I gave Bibi Lisette's ID badge. And so then I was like, so we're talking, they're like, oh, this is taking forever and all that good stuff like always. And so then I told, once I gave them the ID badge, they were so happy and they were showing it to me because they had it in their lanyard. And I was like, what are you going to tell them? You're Brenda? I'm like, you're obviously a little girl. That's not you. And they're not going to let you go on the ride by yourself. You're like this tall. And so I said, what are you going to say? She's like, I'm going to say, hello, I'm Brenda. I'm like, really? I'm like, they're not going to believe that. You're little. She's tall. She's like, yeah, I was part of an experiment. And I'm like, okay, so I'll pretend to be the one at the front of the line, and I'll be like, okay, Miss Brenda, you were part of this experiment. How come I've never seen anybody else like you that is supposed to be this age and is only like 8? She's like, well, I was the first one they got right. And I'm like, what? So there's been people before you they got wrong. Yes. And she moves to the baby because he's got a girl badge, but clearly he's a boy. It's like, so that went horribly wrong, but I'm the first one that they got right. And we were I was like, man, this girl. And so, anyways, so the point in sharing all this, it was a good time. Like you have to enter, you have to find that place of just rest and enjoying whatever situation you're in. You can't make the line go faster. The ride is what it is, right? And so you just take the time and just enjoy it, make the best of it, and you enter into God's rest. It's work. I had to think, okay, how can I make this fun for them? How can we make waiting in line for an hour or 30 minutes or whatever it is fun? And we did, right? But it's a choice. It's not like, oh, it's going to be fun when we get there. It was fun all the way until we got there, right? And then being there was even better because they're like, hey, we're at the front. Verse 9, Hebrews 4:9 says, so there is a special rest still waiting for the people of God. It is still waiting. It is still there. It is still available for us. Just because we've taken a wrong turn or done something wrong or whatever the case is, doesn't mean we cannot enter into God's rest, right? No matter where we are. It may, we may have taken a detour and it may take longer to get to where we need to be, but we're going to be in that line. It's going to be okay, right? Just enjoy it. Enter that rest while you're going through that line. We can be in God's rest and standing while we're still waiting for our breakthrough, waiting for a promised land. Right? Enjoy your waiting in line while you're getting to your breakthrough, while you're getting to your promised land. And kind of like us being in line, being in God's rest doesn't mean not doing anything. It doesn't mean we're just sitting outside doing nothing. We were still actively in the line, right? But we were enjoying it. And we were paying attention to walk when it's time to walk, to stop when it's time to stop. And that's how our relationship is with God, right? We enjoy our time with Him. And whenever it's time to move, we move. Whenever it's time to be still, we're still. But you have to have that relationship with Him in order to get to that. And you will get to your promised land. You will get your breakthrough. You will fulfill that promise that He's put in your heart. It's going to happen. Right? It's like, you're waiting in line. Like these people, we didn't do the 2-3 hour. We're like, that's crazy. But people waiting 2 to 3 hours, like you can't even see where they go off to. And then if you hit that corner, then you see all the other zigzags and you're like, oh my Lord. Right? But they know that they're going to get to wherever they're going if they just stay in line. If they don't quit, right? And keep doing good and stay in line and enjoy the ride.